Sun safety in the summer months go hand in hand. And even if you're pale skin and full of freckles, and you already take all the precautions with sunscreen and shade, well, there's actually a new tool in the toolkit to help keep you safe. 350,000 pounds of military parachutes, some dating back to World War II, repurposed with a new purpose inside Heaven Dropped. It's probably not something you really think about, but you can actually learn a lot about a family from their shopping list. Do you have little kids? Is there a dog in the house? Is somebody sick or having health issues? These are all small pieces of information that if they got into the wrong hands, well, it could be kind of scary.
Our Spectrum Bay News 9's Alese Underwood joins us now in the studio. And Alese, this sounds really interesting and hopeful. Tell us about it.
You know, guys, it's called a carbon dioxide laser, and there's a special way it works called microbladed scanning mode.
From small mountains of clothes and toys inside to a massive expansion happening outside. For babies drinking formula, something like this will probably be gone in a couple of days. And no matter what their financial situation might look like, when parents see those empty shelves, they immediately feel a sense of heartbreak and concern for their baby's health.
It's actually happening right in the villages. In hyperbaric oxygen therapy, that's what it's all about. It's been around for a really long time, but used in this unique way for PTSD, a very new thing.
Most parents will tell you thinking about your kids takes up a large part of your day. However, when you're planning for something like a hurricane, basic essentials like diapers and wipes sometimes get left off the list. And if money is tight in a household, those kind of preparations can almost seem impossible.
For veterans who know about it, they travel a long way to get it done. You won't find it done in many regular hospitals because these procedures are not reimbursable within the civilian market. The equipment is expensive, the training is a little uncommon, but as you'll see, it's making a world of difference.
As costs for basic necessities continue to rise, millions of Americans find themselves in situations and places they never thought they would be in, like 6:30 in the morning, twice a week, at their local food bank.
I'm here by 6:30.
Lori Durbin sits in her car in this line 3 times a month.
I've been coming here for 2 or 3 months now.
She gets here early and waits almost 2 hours because it's her lifeline.
I felt really bad at first about having to utilize food banks, and then I realized that everyone that was here was in the same boat that I was.
She lost her job as a chaplain at a local hospital during the pandemic. As a senior on a fixed income, money is extremely tight.
And I now work 2 jobs just to pay the utility bills and car insurance and gas. I decided that I was not going to feel bad about myself.
Name, please.
Lori Durbin.
She picks up food for herself and a friend through Havendale Food Bank at Multiply Christian Church. Food is given out on the 2nd and 4th Mondays of each month, and once a month on Thursday, each household goes home with a loaded trunk like Lori's.
Cannot wait to get home to see what's in the boxes.
It's now 8 a.m. and time to head home to unpack.
Oh my goodness.
Enough food and extras for 2 people for an entire month.
Jackpot. Cleaning supplies.
It can take some time to get it all inside, but once it's unpacked, the real fun begins. To stretch her food budget, Lori has taken food preservation into her own hands.
I could probably get 4 tacos out of one of these jars, which would be 2 meals for me.
She started canning, vacuum sealing, dehydrating, even pickling the food she brings home.
It's so satisfying to look at your pantry shelf and know that there's food there and that it's not being wasted.
She grew up on a farm and remembers her mother canning, but lately she's been doing a lot of online research to make sure she's up to date on safety measures. By pressure canning, the raw meat gets cooked and can last for a while on the shelf.
For us here in Florida is hurricane season. You never know what we could get hit with and what you might need.
Living day to day as prices continue to go up hasn't been easy, but for Lori, she's found herself not only a new way to save money, but a hobby and a way to pass the time.
You have to keep going. You have to find some kind of hope to hang on to. Without hope, then there's nothing left except to give up.
Once the jars are filled and labels made, it's time to let the pressure canner do its job for 75 minutes.
It just gives me hope to see that there's food in my pantry when I come home from working 2 jobs, that I don't have to stand and prepare because it's already done for me.
Letting nothing go to waste and putting every resource to use as she begins to fill the next round of jars for this week's side dish. Alese Underwood, Spectrum News.
This is the last military hat he was able to wear.
For Renee Brunell, looking through her late husband's military memorabilia never gets old. Travis Brunell served in the U.S. Army as a Pathfinder, Ranger, and Green Beret.
He served in South America with the Special Forces, in Iraq more times than I can count, in Afghanistan, been some other places in the Middle East. So he had a very full passport.
Renee and Travis were married for 20 years. In 2016, he died in a swimming accident. Over the years, she's turned her pain and grief into something good.
One of the, odd things, the blessings of being a widow was my late husband was always very purposeful of, do something you love.
She started a business called Pathfinder's Downsizing Solutions in honor of Travis. With more than 20 years' experience in the senior living industry and a focus on senior wellness, she put her passion to work.
One of the things that I'd found over the years of me being a widow and being a young widow was there really isn't that much support. You would think there is, but not that much.
Almost anywhere across Florida, she and her team can help seniors downsize, declutter, and begin their new journeys. She shares a military bond with many of her clients. Jan Dunlap called Renee to help organize her late husband's man cave. She and her husband Lee were married 59 years. He died in 2019.
I'm still picking up pieces of a broken-hearted life, and I'm learning how to live, and I'm beginning this new life, and I'm finding out it's not so bad after all out here.
Renee makes it a point to hire other military spouses to be on her team. Not only are they pretty good at packing, they know what to look for and what certain items mean.
So I'm like, wait a second. I know this.
By just looking at the wall, Renee knew Lee had a story. He served decades in the U.S. Army and Special Forces, fought in Vietnam, and was one of the original Halo jumpers.
My pay has been messed up since he passed. Bad on the military side of it. Well, I needed to be able to prove it.
Renee's employee, Teresa, knew exactly what the documents for Lee's survivor benefit plan looked like.
Because the first barrel we opened, there it was, all his retired files.
She still has more to do, but this brought a feeling of closure. From here, Renee will help Jan decide what stays, what goes, and what ends up in a museum.
That we want to make sure that it's blessed forward to people that know the story, can look at a patch, can look at a picture, and they realize that history.
Celebrating history and making room for a new path. Alese Underwood, Spectrum News.
Look at all that.
David Deviney is a foster parent. Cleaning up in the morning is just part of his routine.
It's one of the many tasks of in the morning. It's hectic, but it's a good chaos, I would say.
David and his wife have a 5-month-old baby of their own and are getting ready to adopt 3 siblings from foster care.
It's probably one of the more unique experiences we've ever done. It's incredibly rewarding.
They started 4 years ago and are used to having kids come and go at any time. They've seen a lot and know far too well what back to school season means.
Back to school is an exciting time for a lot of families and a lot of kids, but it's also a time when there's an uptick in the foster care system. So for many, it's the first time kids will have a safe adult, put eyes on them.
With more kids coming into the foster care system, the need for help grows.
I mean, the big thing comes, especially like foster care, is, and depending on the timing of placement, is what school are they going to, getting them enrolled. Can be a little bit different and hectic sometimes.
As prices climb, David says it's not easy.
There's a state stipend. It does not cover the cost of a kid. You don't do that knowing it's covered, but it is getting harder and harder to buy groceries and buy school supplies. Foster parents that do this, they go through a period where they haven't had kids or they haven't had kids in a long time.
To help families like David's, Florida's babysitting agency, Doublemint Sitting, is hosting its 4th annual Back to School drive.
2 composition books. Budget is very tight. The school supplies lists are very particular as well. Orange.
Owners Cynthia Fairman and Gabriella Rosello are big foster care advocates. Cynthia grew up in foster care.
Pencil box. They don't have control of their life sometimes in foster care, so having them be able to pick out what they want is the best way for them to start the school year off right.
And it's really nice being able to hand over a full backpack, and it relieves the stress off of them. And then we know that those kids can have an awesome start to their school year.
For David and the kids, drives like this mean the world. Even as budgets get tighter, he never stops encouraging others to make a difference.
It's incredible how resilient they are, given all the things that they go through. You won't regret it one bit.
Zero regrets, no matter where the economy is headed. Alese Underwood, Spectrum News.
Addressing to?
Since 2014, Tiffany Harris has owned the Green Corner in Clearwater.
I'm originally from Thailand. Everybody that came here, the country of opportunity.
Over the years, she's worked hard to make her restaurant a success.
Hi, Kim.
I love the fresh food. It's right next door. It's convenient.
Oh, hi, Wendy. How are you?
They're great. I come about at least probably 3-4 times a week.
The Green Corner, can you hold on a second, please?
Tiffany and her 2 employees kept the place open throughout the entire pandemic. It's right near a local hospital, and they serve a lot of healthcare workers.
Everybody have the same break time, so we taking a phone call, order online.
The Green Corner is one of 30 restaurants in the Bay Area to receive a grant from Uber Eats. $5,000 is going a long way. Along with helping her to pay her staff, that money is helping Tiffany do something that she never would have been able to do otherwise. And that's expand the outdoor front patio area to have more visibility in the community.
We work really hard. We don't want no handout. We want to prove ourselves.
Proving herself is something she does every day. Not only does she make the food, well, she'll deliver it too.
You can be hard worker no matter what race you are. If you put your mind to it, you're passionate, you can do anything. All right. Thank you for stopping by.
In Clearwater, Alese Underwood, Spectrum News. For U.S. Army veteran and broker Sunny Alexander, finding veterans their homes is her mission these days.
The inventory situation has not improved. It has gotten worse, specifically 36% worse. With low inventory, it's always a challenge as any buyer using any loan.
Sunny says a lot of sellers and agents aren't well versed in the VA loan process.
They don't want their sellers to accept it because they feel there's a lot of extra steps, that the appraiser is going to go out and nitpick the property, and that's not the case.
The more she fights, the better the outcomes have been. She keeps in touch with most of her military clients, like Jorge Schuster.
Trying to make sure everything gets put in the right place and finally get moved in.
Jorge is a Navy veteran. He and his girlfriend Lyric just moved to Tampa from San Diego.
There are a lot of misconceptions about, the VA loan, and people that are selling, tend to, go with conventional or a cash buyer. But we did get very lucky here.
Their house wasn't easy to find. Some sellers didn't accept his VA loan, and his appraisal came in low. Sunny helped fight it and got the appraisal raised $10,000. Jorge sold his home in San Diego to a VA buyer and got his buyout in under 25 days.
But it really is a smooth and simple process, just as competitive as conventional or cash buyer.
A smooth process and a benefit our service members have earned. 350,000 pounds of military parachutes, some dating back to World War II, repurposed with a new purpose inside Heaven Dropped. It's safe to say that Bonnie Anderson, Robbie Groover, and Bo Bluen spend a lot of time together.
It's amazing.
They work for Heaven Dropped, a division of the nonprofit Evergreen Life Services.
I'm in charge of the sewing department, and it's a dream come true.
Through Heaven Dropped, military veterans with disabilities and individuals with developmental disabilities transform old military parachutes and gear into one-of-a-kind everyday common goods like bags, bracelets, dog bandanas, even hammocks.
This would have been sent to a landfill to get destroyed. And so we are fulfilling the mission of passing on this history, this legacy to future generations. I mean, we're able to take something that's so historic as a 1950s Korean War, the Forgotten War, and we're able to make that into backpacks that can be used every day.
While Bonnie heads up the sewing, Robbie, a U.S. Army veteran, heads up the team.
My military career was kind of cut short, but from injuries sustained in 2012 from an IED on top of a mountain in Afghanistan.
Just like every parachute has a story, so do the veterans transforming them. Robbie devotes his time to helping both the veterans and the gear serve a new purpose. In a way, it's a form of therapy.
So I spent 9 years in the United States Marine Corps. I'm an Afghanistan and Iraq combat veteran.
Bo now spends his time working as a community partner for Heaven Dropped.
And they allow people and veterans and persons with disabilities that wouldn't have a job to have one now.
Helping with this kind of work hits home for both veterans, especially on Memorial Day weekend.
It's devastating when you lose someone that you pal around with, that you smoke cigarettes with behind a berm, and it's what we as Americans take for granted.
I did lose some friends overseas as well, so Memorial Day is a very important day for me and a lot of other veterans, but specifically it's a very important day for veterans and their families. And for people that are no longer here.
Along with adding more of a museum feel to the massive warehouse, Robbie wants to see Heaven Dropped continue to grow.
I want to be one of the lead employment agencies for people with disabilities and veterans. I want to give very meaningful opportunities, and I want to see Heaven Dropped become that builds purpose in people's lives.
Building purpose, preserving history, and honoring the service of past generations. Alese Underwood, Spectrum News.
Cool.
Now, just to let you know, we're going to show you images of scars because it's such an important part of one man's story. Within seconds of stepping into Daniel Burgess's home, it's clear he has a hobby.
A couple hours a day.
Every stitch, every color, every design, he controls it all.
Starting to quilt actually kind of helped me out with my mindset.
Daniel is a United States Army veteran, living with the scars of service to our country. His wife, Jeanette, has been quilting for decades, but Daniel's interest really started when his life changed.
I mean, it was seriously a joke to him. But then we saw the therapeutic benefits of it.
Quilting isn't the only way a unique therapy is helping Daniel.
That's me right there.
Daniel's story of scars goes back to November 20th, 2011 in Afghanistan. He was working in psychological operations and stepped on an IED.
The explosive was about the size of a water bottle with 3 to 5 pounds of homemade explosives that was powered by a lamp cord, and I believe it was 2 or 3 D-cell batteries.
He immediately lost his leg.
The only thing that they found left of my leg was quarter-sized pieces of my boots.
He started his rehab at Joint Base San Antonio, Fort Sam Houston, where he met Dr. Thomas Beachkowski. After years of a break in treatment, the two met again in Tampa, and Daniel began his new scar therapy. Once a week, Daniel and his wife make the 2-hour, 135-mile drive from their home in Cape Coral to Tampa. This video is supplied by the James A. Haley Veterans Hospital and shows his treatment in action.
In the long run, it's worth it, and with all the gains we have seen outweigh the negatives.
Before this, his scars were healing slowly and they were tight. This type of rehab is helping to stop pain and infections and makes wearing his prosthesis more manageable.
There's way more movement, way more flexibility, and a lot more blood flow.
After the round trip, when they get home, they say it's been worth it.
It does help with the pain issues then. It does release that scar tissue a little bit.
Anything I can do to not have to lose my leg later on down the road, I'm down to try. What it does for you and the ability is completely life-changing.
Life-changing treatments for scars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Now, Daniel's care includes a lot of different departments along with dermatology, but doctors say it's important for veterans, say even Vietnam veterans who are still living with those scars, to know this type of treatment is out there. They say they should reach out to a referral to see if they qualify.
Yeah, that does seem like such a game changer, and even just the pain relief alone, it would be so worth it.
Absolutely.
Alese, thank you. Great story.
It's a really new form of treatment for PTSD. During our trip to the villages, we met one veteran wanting to share his story to help others seeking a new outlook on life.
This is my Kevlar helmet that I wore during my tour in Afghanistan.
Retired U.S. Army Colonel Andy Smith served our country from 1975 to 2007.
And so we have a saying in the Veterans of Foreign Wars, which I've been a member of, is how many veterans are disabled? All of them. Because every one of us leaves a little bit behind.
His military career took him all over the world, but it's the part of him left behind that never went away, even after he came home.
I unfortunately saw soldiers die in training accidents and had a young trooper die at my feet one night. You never forget that.
Still, he only rated his PTSD at a 2.
You know, I just kind of kept it hidden, although my wife could tell in my sleep and other events at night that I was having issues.
When he and his wife moved to the villages, he turned to Aviv clinics for their holistic treatment, a mixture of hyperbaric oxygen therapy, diet control, physical therapy, and counseling. It's changed his life, but like a true leader, he doesn't want the credit.
Oh, this is not about me. I am just an example, and probably a poor one, of what kind of good results you can get by seeking treatment. You know, there's no shame in it. I have no shame in it.
This is where we run the show.
It's an intense 12-week program, 5 days a week for 2 to 3 hours a day.
They call them games. You can't beat them.
Each exercise is tailored specifically to each patient. For Andy, there has been a 30% increase in blood flow to the parts of his brain impacted by PTSD.
I have had a shift in my metabolism. I've had a shift in my general outlook of life, and I plan on doing more dives in the future. You know, space it out a little bit, and come back in for a touch-up.
A 12-week shift, helping to let go of what was left behind.
Since this treatment for PTSD is so new and needs more recognition, it's not covered by insurance. Now, Aviv is working with veterans associations and agencies to see if they can get some of that funding. Reporting in the studio, I'm Alese Underwood, Spectrum Bay News 9.
It's no secret that the military can open a lot of doors. And for one young airman, it's taken her somewhere she least expected. That's into the kitchen. Just about every day you can find Senior Airman Haley Garces hard at work behind the scenes at MacDill Air Force Base.
I joined right out of high school. I joined when I was 18, so I've been in for almost 3 years now.
She admits food services wasn't her first choice.
The more I learned about how to actually make food and make it taste good, I really do enjoy it.
She always was one step ahead of everyone, and then she displayed leadership qualities from the get-go, so we were really proud to have her on our team.
That's why her leadership nominated her for a very special award, and she got it. The Arthur J. Myers Food Service Excellence Award recognizes 2 junior enlisted members who make outstanding contributions to Air Force food service.
We don't always get the recognition that we really do deserve, and the great thing is I think that everyone just needs to remember that no matter how small a part of the mission you are, you're still a part of the mission.
Garces is the team leader for Quick Eats at the dining facility.
These are all our menu items that we provide.
She's responsible for more than 30 menu items. Her efforts have helped the kitchen increase production and lower waste. As part of the award, she'll receive an all-expenses-paid training course at the Culinary Institute of America in San Antonio.
Great opportunity, and to be able to bring all that knowledge back with me and even teach and show some of my coworkers, that would be great for us.
In between all that, Garces is staying extra busy.
I'm also going to college full-time.
She shines in the kitchen, but has goals to take care of people in another way down the line.
I think the best part is making people happy.
Her dream is to complete the Air Force's physician assistant program.
My biggest thing was just taking care of the people that I really care about, or even taking care of people that I don't even know.
Whether it's in the kitchen, at a hospital, or on the battlefield, Garces will keep a positive outlook and share a drive to succeed.
Every opportunity that comes into your pathway, just try it, because you never know what can happen.
In Tampa, Alese Underwood, Spectrum News.
Not much, but...
With a calm step and his signature cup of coffee, Dr. Daniel Middlebrooks is settling into his new home office. These days, he offers a listening ear to first responders and veterans, but from 1987 to 2013, he served in the United States Army, most of the time as a chaplain.
But one of the great things about a chaplain is when you're leaning out of a helicopter about 150 feet off the ground, that's a great time to ask someone, hey, do you know Jesus?
He has a lot of memories from his 26 years, but when he opens this book of photos from his time in the Baghdad ER, it opens a piece of his heart.
Oh, desk, and I still have my cup. I didn't just stand off to the side. There were times that I was holding organs in my hand.
Some memories are heavy, even to this day.
Every one of our soldiers, every one of our patients got a Christmas box from home.
He was there with them and shared their pain.
And when you have a piece of home, it does a lot to your heart, because then you know why you're fighting. These men and women were there because they were not only called to serve, they served their call.
The burden is heavy, and that's why he reached out to the Camaraderie Foundation for help.
What we want are people that can walk with us through our pain and aren't afraid to get muddy and bloody in the stories.
The therapy is free and open to all veterans and their families.
So we let them choose the type of therapy they want, so they're invested to completing it. And then we let them find a counselor. We'll give them a list of 3 or 4 that are within 5 to 10 miles of their home.
Camaraderie Foundation CEO Neftali Rodriguez says the confidentiality is a big part of their success. Funding comes from grants and donations, not the federal government.
We do bad conduct discharge. We do a dishonorable discharge. So we don't use the VA's definition of a veteran. If you served 1 day, you qualify in our minds as a veteran.
Rodriguez says usually within 48 hours, the veteran or their family can be in counseling. At one time, their youngest client was 4 years old.
A lot of them weren't even allowing their family members to go to get assistance because if a spouse or child goes in for treatment for PTSD or the secondary effects of PTSD, then the question is, where did it come from?
It's the feeling of security and understanding that keeps Daniel coming back. He encourages other chaplains to open up about their grief.
We need to unload ours as well so that we can continue to help them carry. Otherwise, we can become an empty cup. And for a chaplain with coffee, an empty cup is a bad day. I hope you're enjoying your cup of coffee.
Another piece of his heart and chapter of life.
I am now.
Made whole in time.
Because I found help.
Alese Underwood, Spectrum News. What starts out as a piece of dusty wood in the shop has quickly transformed into one local business's top seller. Let's take a look inside Higher Order Smokers.
Basically, pottery, discovered, and better tools.
Cole Miles has been doing carpentry since high school. Fast forward a few years, and you'll find him here, owning his own shop and making hardwood smokers.
Each one handmade in Tampa. We do maple, cherry, hickory, and white oak.
It's been a journey. He started doing cabinets and furniture, but it's smokers that really took business to the next level.
I am fascinated by materials, and so it's cool to work with things that used to be living trees, providing oxygen and have a life of their own, and really respecting that.
His shop has been open a little over a year, and he has 6 employees. It takes about a week to make a few hundred.
I'm born and raised in Tampa, second youngest of 7, grew up right down the road, and I spent most of my life here. I love being able to be part of this community, and the support we receive from the community has been overwhelming.
Higher Order Smokers was originally a Kickstarter. They ended up getting 1,500 orders and $60,000 in the first month.
I totally believe in the product. I think it's absolutely sellable. I'm really excited to be part of a growing small business.
Unlike some smokers, these are easy to use and affordable.
So we're not just for drinkers.
You can even use them for your charcuterie boards with meats and cheeses.
I think the drink smokers themselves take off so much because people enjoy the novelty of the fire and the taste, and it becomes an experience in itself.
A handmade experience with roots in the Bay Area. In Tampa, Alese Underwood, Spectrum News.